Hello world, my name is Keon, and today I'm going to show you how to make a MOBA tower in Unreal Engine 4. If any of you guys remember my old UDK tutorials, you will recall a gun turret tutorial that showed you how to use Kismet to make a gun turret. I've decided to update that into a MOBA tower for the use of UE4, but keep in mind, the same logic can be applied and made to be used in a gun turret.
This is the basic functionality of a turret, and at the end of the YouTube version of this video, this is the expected result. A very simple, straightforward turret that should work and be able to be easily modified for pretty much any game you're trying to make. If you're interested in getting more fully featured tutorials such as this mega turret you see here, consider visiting my Patreon. Through there I'll be able to provide you with video and maybe even source materials. So go on ahead and check it out. This version, the Patreon version of the turret, has a visible outline for the radius, a rotating gun head, which we're using as an arrow for now, and projectiles that rotate, follow you, and explode upon impact. So go ahead and check it out. More information during this part and at the end of the video. But for now, let's get started on this tutorial. Now, first things you're going to notice is the content folder. Within this folder, all I'm going to do is add a new folder so we could keep our stuff separate from all that dirty pre-existing content. We're going to call this turret. Now, first thing we want to do is make two placeholder blueprints. These are so we know what we're doing later on. So as I mentioned, we're going to need two blueprints. One is the turret. We shall call this turret underscore BP. The second one is, what should I call it? Projectile. There we go. I can't spell. That's a confusing name, and I can't think of a better one right now, but you know what? You know what I'm saying. You know. So both of these are actors, and both of them are empty. So let's see what happens when we place this in the level. Absolutely nothing. Well, I lied. It's in the level, but since it has no functionality or visual aspects to it, we don't see anything. So let's go ahead and make it so we can see stuff. So what I like to do, for most things, is add an arrow. This guy we don't really have to change, and if we do, we can adjust its arrow size. But again, he's not important. Afterwards, we're going to start adding the real meat. So, next thing you want to add is a cylinder. There we go. Now from the side, and you could do this if you want, you don't have to. I'm just going to bring this guy up to about 200, make him big and mighty, and then just scale him up. There we go. Make sure that the bottom of him is at least intersecting this green plane right here. Otherwise, it's just going to look like he's floating. But if that's what you're going for, then don't stress it. Afterwards, we're going to add, a billboard. These are cool because you could use your own custom textures, but I'm too lazy to do that right now, and I'm sure you are. So, look at me, getting ahead of myself. Let's go back and rename this cylinder our turret mesh. This way we don't get things confused. Next, billboard. Let's call this our shoot point, because all we're using this for is to provide information from where to spawn the projectile. Very important. In fact, because it's so important, you're probably going to want to move this up a little bit higher. So let's move it up to about close to the top. There we go. Now, the next thing we want to add is our radius, radii, radium. Don't know the plural. We're going to call this the piss off radius. And basically what happens is, once we approach this radius, our turret is going to get pissed off. Give it a radius of, I'm going to say 10 feet. 10 meters, my bad. So let's make it, whoops, why did I say 10? 3 meters, 30 meters. So 300 meters. Boom, there we go. Actually, you know what? That looks a little small. Let's make it a little bit higher. Boom, 500. Awesome. This is very important because what we're going to be doing is we're going to be sending stuff As soon as we approach this one, it's going to get pissed off and start shooting at us. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and duplicate this guy real quick so we don't have to do all the crap again. Remember, we're game designers. We're lazy as hell. GTFO radius. This is the radius in which once you leave it, he'll stop shooting at you. But until you leave it, you will be destroyed. Now, we're going to make this one much bigger, so we're going to make it 1005. Ooh, that's humongous. That's perfect. Perfect. But one thing we do want to do, just for the sake of visibility, is change the color. Boom. There we go. So we have the GTFO radius, which is nice and green, and the piss off radius, which is angry and red. Apologize ahead of time if that sounded racist. I meant no harm. Next thing we want to do is begin doing some overlap events. You could do this from the details panel, which is relatively new, and 4.7. If you don't have 4.7 or are using this from a version far in the future, then ignore this. But you can always add it from in here. Begin, and I can't spell again. Uh-oh. Well, it seems that you can't. Ignore me. I don't know what I'm talking about. But here, when this fires off, it's going to fire off an event. So let's go ahead and add a print node right now so we can just test this out. And I'm just going to say I'm doing something. You know what? That doesn't sound exciting enough. I'm doing something! Exclamation marks. There we go. Let's compile, shall we? I think we should. Oh, wait. What's the point? We don't have this in the level yet. Let's just go into level and drag and drop this anywhere. Preferably somewhere where the player doesn't immediately spawn with it pissed off. And, ooh, sorry, had to belch. Let's go ahead and rotate that. Doesn't really matter. I just like seeing that arrow. There we go. Oh, I'm doing something. I'm doing something. Now, let's go back into here. Next thing we want to do is provide a way for our turret to know once we've left the GTFO radius. So where this is a begin overlap, there's also an end overlap. So we want to add that for our GTFO radius. And let's go ahead and just let them both link to the same thing. Boom, I'm doing something. Boom, I'm doing something. So that's when I leave the radius. Isn't that impressive? Now you could always use debugging tools, but sometimes debugging just slows you down in a good way, in a very good way. This is a great way to just test to see if things are working. So after that, we want to make sure that this will only shoot off if it's us doing that. So from the other actor section, let's get out of here. From the other actor spot, let's go ahead and drag out and do a cast to our character. Now, there we go, top-down character. So leave that alone and just do the same. In fact, you know what? Let's just copy and paste this. There we go. Again, we're lazy. We're always trying to think of the quickest and shortest way to do things. Let me get a sip of water. Water. Sponsor. And now, what we wanted to do after that is just spawn a projectile. So the best way to do this is make sure, well, this is going to cause all kinds of problems, but I want you to see them. I want you to know the problems that I cause. Go ahead and click spawn actor from class. And again, we'll still have content sensitivity on, so this is very helpful. And what you want to do is spawn our projectile. Oh, look at that. Projectile turret or turret projectile, I don't care. Alright. Now let's go ahead and compile, and oop, another error. It's very important to look at these errors because it kind of helps you on your road to learning how to code. Or blueprint, my bad, program via blueprints. So right now it's saying the current value of spawn transform pin is invalid. This makes sense. So what we're going to do now is either of these can be dragged off. We're going to control drag onto our canvas and get the location of this fool right here. So how do we get that? Well, let's just drag off of him and type in location. Isn't that awesome? The world would be a better place if we could do this for terrorists. Oh, nope, I had set. What we want to do is get locate. There we go. So just get the world location, and as it says, it's going to get our location in the world. So then just from here, drag that there, and it's going to do the transform for us. Now keep in mind, color coding is a big deal. That's why this box exists. It exists so it could transform things for us. Transforms are transform. Never. Okay, here we go. All right, let's play now. Compile. Perfection. Let's go. Oh yeah, I'm doing something, which means it probably did spawn, but there's nothing in that blueprint. So how about we do some stuff and spawn that fool? All right, so same as before. Let's go ahead and add an arrow. Do 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 do. There we go. I almost broke a copyright there. Next thing we want to add is our collision, which is quite possibly the most important thing within this because this is basically what's going to tell us, hey, you're doing stuff to other stuff. And should be overlap. Yep, overlap all. Perfect. Next is that. Well, yeah, that's fine. I think. I don't know. I don't care. We'll find out. Errors. Awesome. Oh, you know what? We can add sphere through here. Boom. Now, for this one, you just want to turn all that collision off. Just off completely. You don't need it in life. And just go ahead and scale this guy down all the way. So that way he fits kind of snugly. Ooh, that's nice. Super snug. You don't want your players looking at replays and saying, hey, this ball didn't hit me. You want to make sure that ball hit them, or projectile, whatever projectile you use. And again, we're just using the default meshes that come with the engine. You could totally put in your own here, but for the sake of time and availability, I'm just going to use the default. Alright, so with this, the first collision sphere is just going to be called just that, collision sphere. Alright, so this is our projectile mesh. Beautiful. Alright, so these two should work in harmony. And let's see. What's something this could do when it starts spawning? This is a very important node. What this does is it fires off as soon as A, the level begins, or B, the object that it belongs to is spawned. So since we're going to be spawning this, let's go ahead and just do another print and say, I'm alive. Alright, let's compile. Perfect. Save. Perfector. And play. He's alive. And he's alive. Perfect. Awesome. So now what's the next thing we want to do? Well, this is very important, and I'm doing it now, so that way we don't run into any problems later. Let's go ahead and add some new collisions. What you want to do is go to your project settings, and we're going to do this real quick because I'm about to end this video, and go down here where it says collisions. Now what you want to do is set up a new object channel, and just call this one projectile, and just leave it at block. Accept that. It's beautiful. Go down here to presets. All these presets, and you might have to full screen this, but all these presets are preset, like they come with the engine, all the ones with gears, which is kind of funny because Epic did make a game using gears, but I'm pretty sure that's not the relation. So anyways, we're going to come down here and create a new preset. This one's called projectile. And basically what this means is instead of having to customize every little thing we do, all we got to do is set something to a projectile preset and it'll already have all these settings. So go ahead and leave it like that. Accept that. Love it. We don't even need to change the description because we're not ever using this again after this. Alright, now close that, and now go back into your blueprint for your projectile and change the collision of this guy to projectile. Isn't that beautiful? That wasn't there before. We just did that. You just did that. Congratulations. Pat yourself on the back. Compile. Next thing we want to do is make this guy a projectile. How do we do that? We add projectile components. Luckily, Unreal does come with that, which makes sense because people will be making a lot of first-person computers. You don't have to rename this. It's pretty self-explanatory. So let's go down here and play with some values. Our initial speed, you can set these to whatever you want. Seriously, whatever you want. I'm going to set my initial speed to 500 and my max speed to 900. Now, if you set your max speed, if your initial speed to 900, it'll probably just get maxed out by your max speed. Rotation follows velocity. I don't even know what that means. I'm just going to check it. Gravity? No. We don't need gravity for this. So just set that to 0. Don't even set it to negatives. And what else? And the last but not least before we go is projectile homing, and let's just crank this up to 900, the same as the rest of them. Now keep in mind that we're going to have to add a homing target component in order for this thing to actually home in on something. But for now, we're just going to leave that alone. So bye, and see you in a couple seconds. I said bye.